Never underestimate the power of a little bit extra effort. Tiny little bit. Doesn't have to be a lot. Too many people in my life right now are quitting inches before the finish line. They're quitting right before they achieve their goals, right before they get what they want. And of course, as always, I'm not excluding myself from this sample group of people that are making this mistake. As soon as I see it in everybody else, I start looking at myself. Where am I doing this? Where am I falling short of the goalposts when all it would have taken was a little bit of extra effort? A tiny, weeny, little bit of extra effort. It's so insignificant what it's going to take sometimes. And, it's great to observe it in other people first. That's what I've been doing. Like, I've just been like, all you have to do is like reply to that message and you're going to make the sale. For example, like there's so many ways that we're doing this in our lives. We're just stopping because can't be bothered. And what happens when you can't be bothered? When you don't want to put in this little bit of extra effort, you get no result. You don't get a poor result. You don't get a worse result. You get no result so much of the time, especially if it's a sale or a new job opportunity or something like this, where it's either you got it or you didn't. These are the kinds of areas where I'm talking about. Like, it's okay to fall short of your goals if it's something like you want to jog 2 kilometers and you only jog 1.5. Like, you're still getting a result from that. But any situation where if you don't achieve the goal, then your result is nothing. Like, that's where we need to put in this little bit of extra effort. And I've even gone to this totally radical place, as I often do, where I've decided, like, I'm going to put in all of the effort that I've realized a long time ago, many years ago, that my energy is actually infinite. Like, you're never going to not have the energy to do something. You might not believe those words. That might sound ridiculous, but I've been through some really hard, challenging times where there was no fuel left in the tank. I was spent. I was emotionally destroyed. There was nothing that I had left within me. It felt like I was done. And then I've gone on to do 10 times more after that feeling of like, this is everything that I have inside of me. Like, I'm all used up. There's nothing left. And I've gone on to do 10 times more stuff out of necessity, because if I didn't, I don't know where I would be. Could be dead. Could be in a much worse place. Could have set me on a path that would have been even more dark and scary and long and winding, and maybe I'd still be lost and struggling to find a way to make meaning out of life. Like, it's like that, like, you go through those kinds of experiences and you learn about yourself. Like, there's always more inside of you. There's always more. So there's no excuse, especially when things are all going pretty well. Like, you've been eating and you've been sleeping and everything's in order, and you're looking after yourself. Like, why wouldn't you reach deeper within yourself to find that extra energy to put forward towards your goals? So yeah, I've made this radical commitment to just, like, I know I have it within me to do whatever it takes to complete whatever I start. And I had a conversation with somebody about this, and they just couldn't wrap their head around it. They're like, and quite often when I talk about these radical concepts, I recorded a whole video about it recently, Risky and Extreme Methods, something along those lines. It's probably the title. When I talk to people about this stuff, they try to talk me out of my lifestyle choice. Like, it's like they feel threatened by the fact that I'm being ridiculous. It's like, it's okay, man. You don't have to take radical responsibility for your life. You don't have to make the decision that you're not going to give up until you achieve what you set out to achieve. And of course, like, I like to frame things in this way, like I'm not going to give up, I'm going to do whatever it takes, I'm going to achieve what I set out to achieve. But I have my limits, and when I do find them and I can't take it anymore, I'm going to rest. I've learned to rest. That's like a new thing for me. I rest so much now. That could even be the thing that you need to do. That could be what you need to get to the finish line. Like, you actually just needed to rest and then come back to the thing, instead of just having so many random bullshit things on your plate that you're trying to do at once. Focus on the one thing that actually matters. There's more than one way to address this issue, where you're not getting the result because you're not making it to the finish line. I said, like, put in a little bit of extra effort, but you also need to give it a little bit of extra thought, a little bit of extra awareness, and think about this. Do you even want all of these things that you're so passionately pursuing? Or could you disqualify a few of these things and then reinvest the energy that you were wasting on the things that you didn't really want, to acquire the things that you do really want? Honesty, man. Get honest with yourself. Self-deception has to be one of the fundamental destroyers of human potential. Wow, that sounded so dramatic. I often wonder, like, if anybody ever writes these words out as like written quotes, like how much more hectic it would sound without my, like, I'm just kind of playing with the words and stuff, and with the context of the entire video, like, everybody knows I'm just kind of trying to articulate things as clearly as I possibly can. But if you just took like one of these random phrases that I often say out of context, and it just had that huge, like, dramatic, over the top vibe to it, like, people would be like, oh, who is this guy? He sounds crazy. But yeah, honesty and no self-deception. And I think it's a form of self-deception to give up when you're so close, because what you really intuitively know that you're almost there, and you just can't be bothered. Like, it's just, I don't want to do any more. I don't want to put any more effort into this. I've put so much effort into this. And then one thing that we do is we go and complain to friends and family and co-workers and talk about how bullshit it is that this is taking so long, or this is so hard, or look at this response that I got. It's just, this person's wasting my time and I'm never going to get anywhere, so I'm just going to give up. And instead of, like, all of that energy that you used to tell your friends about how bad this situation is and how upset you are, you could have used that same energy to just solve the problem. I'm really on this just solve the problem in front of you thing at the moment. Like, I just have no patience for leaving anything unresolved. I hate having stuff, because this is the way that I look at it, right? If I've got all these unresolved issues going on, and all of these toxic relationships, or even just not optimized relationships, even if they're not toxic, they're just like not ideal, like there's just a few weak spots and things, like I just want to iron out those kinks so that everything's running smoothly, so that it takes less effort then. If you've got all of these things that are taxing you emotionally and taxing your time and energy as well, which if you're being taxed emotionally, your time and energy is being taxed. Let's be real. Like, you can't be emotional about something without wasting time and energy. That's the very nature of, like, emotional reactions. They just take from you so much. It's just like constantly distracting me. Like, if I'm really emotional about something, I'm distracted by it. Anything reminds me of the thing that I'm emotional about, all of a sudden all my attention's on that emotional thing. Even though there's, like, I said it in the last video, even though there's so many positive things going on that I could be, like, all these things that I could be giving life to by breathing energy into it and focusing on it. I'm not doing that, because every 5 seconds, like, the emotional thing is coming up and I'm just like, I have to, like, it's not even a conscious thing. It just, like, emotional reactions hijack your awareness, and it's So I don't like leaving anything unresolved. And that's one more thing that I would say, put a little bit of extra effort in to resolve these issues so that you don't have all this unfinished business going on in your life. I don't know, this feels like an interesting video. It's one of those ones where I start off saying, just put a little bit of extra effort in, and I think it's going to be so simple. But then I'm like, ooh, what about self-deception? Ooh, what about emotional hijackings? Ooh, like what else could we look at in relation to this? But the key thing that I really wanted to share is, like, I'm watching a lot of people give up right before the finish line. And then I'm going like, where am I doing that? And then I took it one step further and I decided I refused to do that. Even though, this is actually better to add on to the end of this. There's an objection that comes up when you talk about putting in that extra effort. And it's that, you know, if there's this outcome that I want to create something, or I want to achieve something, and it turns out that it's going to take twice as much effort, or say even 10 times as much effort, is it worth it? Well, one way you could look at it is, oh yeah, it takes 10 times more effort, and that's ridiculous. But you've got to think about the fact that if I don't put that extra effort in, then my outcome might be zero. I might get nothing out of it. So I've already put in all of that time and energy, and now my investment is going to be gone. So I would rather put the extra effort in and get the result that I want, get the outcome that I want. Because, like I said before, I've discovered that my energy is actually infinite. I mean, time is something that I can't justify wasting, because there's only 24 hours in a day, no matter which way you slice it. So, and that's one thing that I'm emotionally reacting to at the moment, is like people wasting my fucking time and just expecting that that's cool. Like, no worries. Like, but with that time, I could be doing so many more things. So what I've actually been doing is, instead of getting all upset about it and saying what's the point and making excuses and complaining to my friends, I guess I'm kind of complaining to the video journal. But like, I've just been figuring out how I can put in even more effort because my effort is infinite, to rearrange the way that I'm looking at my goals and looking at my objectives, what I want to do, so that I can actually get it all done, even though it's going to take 10 times more effort, because my time is now scrambled by a bunch of commitments that I can't really change without creating a giant ripple effect throughout my entire life that's going to be extremely dramatic and cause a lot more emotional distress that's going to lead to more hijackings. Yeah, I've just got to put more effort in. That's my only option. And so often in life, our only option is to put in 10 times more effort or lose the result, lose the outcome. And I refuse to lose the outcome. I will just put in more effort. I have more effort. I have more energy. I can do it. I'm still young-ish. I'll be 31 soon. And people are starting to highlight that, and I'm like, oh, wow. Like, yeah, time really does fly. But I am still young. Like, there's still so much more. A lot of the people that I really respect and admire, who are doing the kinds of things that I would like to see myself doing later in life, are like 50s, like in their 50s. And they no longer look that old to me. So that's another weird transitional shift that's happened. There's so much stuff that I want to do in life though. And if I sit around waiting for everything to arrange itself in a way that it requires the least amount of effort, it's not going to get done. Like, I need to just accept the fact that things are going to take 10 times more effort than I would like them to, and apply myself. That's what I'm doing. You don't have to, by the way. This is just my video journal for anybody who's new. I'm just expressing what I'm thinking and feeling in the present moment. And it's an invitation for people to have their own insights and think their own thoughts and have their own feelings. And it's kind of like a little time that we can carve out for ourselves each day or each couple of days to reflect on life together, you know. And it's been more and more effective because I've let go of a lot of the self-deception, which has allowed the audience to tune in a little bit deeper as well, because we're getting more real. I'm getting more real, so everybody's going to get more real. And it's being reflected in the comments, and I really appreciate that. If you get anything out of this video, please let me know in the comments below. Share your insights with others who may scroll down and have a little read. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to pass these videos on to anybody you know who may enjoy them or find any kind of value in these thoughts and feelings.